Era sabido que algún día un hijo de puta iba a pintar el dibujo como el coyote.
Hello everybody, welcome back to FusioCraft. Here I am at spawn on a very special new project. Probably the worst thing that I've ever done in Minecraft. And you'll see what I mean when I reveal what it is. So I picked this spot, kinda near spawn, and there's a convenient naturally generated tunnel here. Right now it's just basic path blocks through this tunnel, but it leads you down to this area here that I want to make kind of like some ancient temple. Some ancient temple for... It's a topster. It's a topster. I have so many of these album banners that I'm like, you know what? What if I just made a giant topster somewhere near spawn? So that's what I'm gonna do. It's gonna be really funny. And I kind of want to put some redstone in it so that I can automatically like knock them all down, make a new one, but I don't know, I'm not the biggest redstone dude, and I'm not sure if it's even possible. If every single one of these rows has pistons behind it, but I only want one row type to be activated at once, my thinking is the black concrete is what the banners are going to be placed on, and the wool is going to be an extendable thing that you can actually walk on top of to place them. So let me demonstrate with a few banners here. If I'm to go with these banners and place them on this topster, obviously it's really awkward getting them on all the spots, but yeah, easy enough with this top row, right? But if I want to put banners on the row below it, then perhaps I can simply flick a lever and this entire row of wool will extend, and then I can walk on top of that wool and place all the banners. Perhaps instead of shifting the concrete with pistons behind them, maybe they can be on the side? But I think only 12 blocks can be pushed by pistons, and this is 15, so I'm either gonna have to make this smaller to make that work, or I simply take them all off manually. I don't know. I was also thinking, maybe I could put some water dispensers up top, and I could flick a lever, and then a bunch of water streams will make it easy to go up and down and place them all. That might be the easier option, and then I can just go through with my original plan to just have a bunch of pistons behind the concrete, knock them all out at once. This stupid topster project is actually becoming a big redstone project as well. That's funny. Oh my god. This is the worst thing that I've ever done in Minecraft. By hands down, this is the worst. I legitimately made a topster in Minecraft. This is not meticulously ranked or anything. I just placed most of them random. I did make sure to get my few favorites up there in order, but good lord. Also, I thought I'd still have like not enough space here, but there's a few empty spaces, so I ended up throwing in Zero by Ichiko Aoba. Pretty easy one. Now this could be Donda, but this also could be Black Metal by Dean Blunt, or it could be that one Tricod album. Let's say it's that one Tricod album, because screw Kanye, like, bro. Bit unfortunate now that a number of albums here are from an anti-Semitic man. Yeah. And these aren't even all of the ones that I've designed. I designed a bunch on my laptop while I was bored, and I just haven't made them all here in the server yet. I can't tell if this is impressive or pathetic that I have made this many. And because banners kind of render in and out with render distance, it's gonna be funny to see, like, all of the albums just, here we go, boom, appearing in. Because from far away, you just see this big black rectangle, and you wonder to yourself, what is that? And then you approach it, and it's like, oh. No, definitely it does look impressive altogether like that. But at the same time, it's really revealing, like, the amount of time that I spent making these. Like, all of these shulker boxes were full. I remember when I first made the record store thinking I maybe bit off more than I could chew. Like, I gave myself so much room to put album covers up there on top that I didn't think I would actually be able to cover it all. And then I did. And then I just kept making them. And now I have more than enough for the record store. Crazy. So I'll probably spruce this up better later. I kind of mostly just wanted to see what this looked like right now. So this can be where all the banners go for when you're knocking them down and rearranging them. A funny little intermission from my big projects, I guess. I can't get over how funny this is. A Minecraft topster. Wow. Okay, let's go back to Calcite Cove. I got carried away and made a few more banner designs. I'm really proud of Francis the Mute. That one came out really well, and I've been struggling with figuring out how to do that one for a while. But I'm back here in Calcite Cove, and the first thing I want to work on is the library. I think the issue with the library is not that it wasn't detailed enough, it was over-detailed. So you can see I knocked out a lot of the in-between pillar supports. I left the ones on the edges, and on the long sides, I left the two in the middle. Now, there's still a lot of tweaking and fixing that I gotta do now, but this alone, simply removing elements from this building, I think it makes it look a lot better. And it's ironic that this is one of those builds where I was thinking too hard on it. The theater needed way more detail, but the library needed way less. So all I've done was demo some things out so far, but I am going to now tweak it, make it better, add some things, change some things around. Super refine it, essentially. Well, I would say that looks better, personally. Yeah, so I continued with the darker wood color on the side here. Instead of going for spruce, I went for dark oak. So I swapped that out. There's more contrast. It's a little more consistent. I did keep the spruce fences though. The blue I was originally trying to work into the sides, but I ultimately just decided to kind of shade it with the clay, which is ever so slightly on the blue side. A very subtle touch of blue to natural shading, but the more unsubtle part is the base I have replaced with prismarine, which I think looks really good. It's a good foundation layer look, and I couldn't decide on whether I wanted normal prismarine or dark prismarine here on the bottom foundation layer. So for now, I've decided to only put the dark prismarine on the corners. The reason I'm so split is because I like the color of the normal prismarine way better. It fits Calcite Cove way more, but I feel like the base, like the very bottom of the base, should be a little darker in color. So this is the compromise I have. It's just the corner of the base. And then I swapped out the outer rim of the roof with acacia. I just wanted there to be a different block type because if you do that, then the roof looks a lot better. Plus it helps bring out a more complementary color scheme with the bottom. And the roof of the original building I was basing this off of was a little more saturated than granite. Granite's a little more on the gray side compared. It's kind of in between, but there is no perfect color in the game for the roof that I'm trying to go for. So mixing those two is good enough for now. I tried red sandstone as well, but that one is way too orange. I feel like there's not many buildings left that really need updates. We all know the cookie corner's been through it. The antique store just got those windows. This has been super expanded. That was completely torn down and rebuilt. Same with the museum. I'm still very satisfied with this build. I don't think I would change anything about it. This one I swapped some blocks around. Same with this one. Trying to work some blue into this build. I think I like the idea I was going for here, but this was not a very good execution of it. And I need to come up with something different. With Barrel Eye Bay and whatnot, I feel like I've gotten better at doing that type of forced perspective shading where it looks like there's more depth than there is. And this is a really, really simple job. I just replaced one line of blocks. It's not really that in depth. And it can't be super in depth. It's not that big of a build, but definitely can be better than that. Alright, the shading is way nicer than before. I decided to go a little softer and make clay the darkest block. And mushroom stems are the perfect in-between. I carried that over to the Cayucas house as well. Just a little bit of mushroom stems underneath those flat edges. You know, because they're flat, that helps it give it a little implied depth. And I abandoned the idea that this strip in the middle goes kind of inwards a little bit. Sticking to the original reference building, this section actually juts out, so it made more sense to put shadow underneath that than to introduce and create shadow here. And I carried that over to the sides where obviously it also logically makes sense underneath this deck and underneath this overhang that actually is there. Also, it is so funny how like half of the villagers that I set free just kind of wander around the parks and obsess over the trash cans. They did unintentionally all become just homeless. This was not my intention. I did not want for them to just live in the park. Look, dudes, there are so many places to live right down the street. Oh, this guy took up residence here. Nice, nice. We need more of you. Actually, that dude's a librarian. I think he became attached to the job block right here, which technically makes him the landlord, doesn't it? Okay, I get it now. All the villagers are choosing to just live out in the park because the landlord dude is charging way too much for housing. You are the problem, sir. Yeah, you. He's trying to convince them, oh, pay 1,000 diamonds a month. Huh. So, a few more buildings down, and now I really feel like the upgrades I wanted to do are pretty much complete. Calcite Cove 2.0 is pretty much ready. So now I'm kind of just going around, and I'm trying to figure out new places to insert some color, like, you know, making this little mosaic here in the middle of the alley. I think this looks nice, you know, this is the general idea. I may swap a few blocks around, maybe make this lighter. I don't want it to be ice because then you like would genuinely slip on it, but I don't know. I wish there were more lighter blue blocks in the game. Need more blocks in this shade. Blocks that I don't slip on. For real, Calcite Cove has like maybe a few building interiors to do left from being like what I would once again consider complete. That mountain project, I might just start early. It's tempting. I really want to start placing down a bunch of stone and moss and whatnot. Am I getting too ahead of myself? Oh boy, the view up here is great, but guess what I'm standing on? I'm trying to estimate where the peak of the mountain might be. If I fly off here, yeah, I'm just going to use moss to super outline the mountain. In my solo world, I used stone, but obviously with this moss generator and with how easy it is to place and destroy moss compared to stone, I think I'm just gonna build a giant mossy shell of this mountain before I actually like start detailing it and everything. So it's going to be a giant pile of moss at first. The view from the top of that peak was cool, but I have to make sure that the view out to it from the ground is also going to be really cool. And I can already tell, as soon as this is built up, this is going to be amazing. This is going to be such a good backdrop for the area. As tall as I was, I'm already starting to think I might want to go taller, to be honest, because yeah, build height is super high now, and I think I only built up to like level 160-ish. The taller the mountain, the more daunting of a task it's going to feel, especially if I want there to be like pathways up it, then, you know, the steeper it is, the harder that will be. And of course, this mountain will be the backdrop to Barreleye Bay as well. It is going to be the thing that really cements the area throughout my entire base. If this is all just considered my singular base, I want this thing to be visible from wherever you are. And I feel like in general, I picked a really good center point because no matter where I am, it seems to be the big thing that you can look out at in front of you. Like, it seems to be pretty in line with that road, but it also seems to be in line with the first Calcite Cove road right there. And down here, I've placed a lot of netherrack, just kind of trying to figure out a basic outline of the edge of where the mountain is going to cut into the normal terraforming. Not final, but you can see here I want it to start really sloping up right past the buildings in Calcite Cove, maybe dip into this area a little bit. I might actually extend it a little further so that there's like a kind of a steep cliff face right up against this path here. And then because this hill kind of already has a lot of the natural grading I want for this side of the mountain, I'm going to try to incorporate this existing hill into it. It's become a bit of a landmark because look at all the animals here. So I'll try to preserve this spot as much as possible, incorporate it into the mountain, but beyond that, it's going to continue down here, and there's this natural little lagoon. Stupid Enderman. There's a natural little lagoon here that I think would look really cool if the mountain kind of loomed over it, I guess. You see how this naturally generated with this kind of stone overhang? I want to try to continue that over here. So maybe like this isn't necessarily the edge of the mountain here, like it's going to kind of go over here. That would be really sick. A section of the mountain that kind of overhangs over this valley a little bit. That would be really cool. That would make for some really awesome looking cliffs. And I might put the cabins over there, who knows? As massive and as daunting as this project seems in my head, I don't actually really think it should be that hard. It's just a grind. So like I've mentioned, I've built a mountain before in my solo world, and this was the last major thing I did in that solo world before FusioCraft started, so it is pretty recent. I made some mistakes in the process of making that mountain, and I think this mountain should come out pretty good looking. So one of the mistakes I think I did with that previous mountain was that I made lines like this all the way to the top, and then I just did really basic interpolation between those lines, and the end result, you could really tell where those lines were placed. There was a lot more randomness to the lines themselves than the interpolation in between. So this one, I'm going to way more just mold and carve up. I'm thinking I maybe just do one side at a time, maybe. I think maybe I will mold the shape of the mountain up on the side that faces Calcite Cove first, then the side that faces Barreleye Bay. And of course, because I'm using moss, it'll be really easy to be like, I don't want that here. Boom. You can punch it out like, boom. Easy. So yeah, I guess let the grind begin. Actually, before I do, some deforesting is gonna have to happen. And I guess technically, it doesn't really need to, and all these trees can simply live beneath the mountain. But this is a ton of free wood. A ton of free resources that, for all intents and purposes, needs to go anyways. So you know what? I will gladly take it all. The clearing is done, at least for what I've outlined, but in doing so, to be honest, it doesn't really seem like that big of an area as I expected. So I might push the mountain out a little further in this direction. This is what I'm excited about. And when I look around, obviously, this is a super, super tiny portion of the mountain, but it's getting me a little general idea of how this is going to work. And I have to say, so far, using moss, infinitely better than using stone. It feels like such a more organic shaping process. And it's so easy, I don't need to switch any tools in my hotbar like I do with the stone. Well, I guess I could have stone in my offhand, but constantly having to put it in my offhand, a little annoying. If I just fill my inventory with moss, then I go in here, boom, see, I just punch out moss when I don't want it placed there. And I'm just constantly shaping it, putting blocks in, putting blocks out. As long as you have a good farm for moss, please use moss for your basic shaping when you're terraforming and shaping anything, really. Trust me, the moss method, it works. It's doing me wonders. See, like this section, I want to start as a like gravel path up the mountain from here, so I don't want its terrain to be super steep. But then over here, that doesn't matter, and I'll just make a little point right there. Oh, and here's something exciting. The Funny Pub is finally going to be completely covered up thanks to this thing. So this just solved one of the biggest problems with Calcite Cove that was still existing. And then over here, last episode, when I thought this was going to be a far-off project, here I am already doing it. I already have some basic ideas of how I'm going to connect this area up with a little mountain path. So once again, I'm intentionally shaping the land so it's not too steep up here, you can just hop up. So I'm going to have this wind up the mountain, and it's going to be fun. And see, I'm building it from the ground up. Of course, I have a general idea of where I want to get to, but overall, like, I'm not going to wear myself down with all the lines and grid work that I did previously. This feels way more organic, and I'm really, really happy with the results so far. Ooh, and it just grew just like that as soon as I hit record. Nice. Okay, progress report. I've been busy, and a lot has been done. Let me go fly down here and show you. It's very noticeable from far away at this point. Look at that. It's at least a hill right now, right? Like, if this is the maximum height that I was going for, then I'd be halfway done. Then I'd just have to do the other side of the hill. But no, we're going bigger than that. Okay, so there's going to be 2 major pathways up. And there might be more because, you know, ideas form as I do it. But this road here is going to become more of a packed mud path that goes up this way, around what I think is going to be a big calcite spike right here. And this is going to be a way smoother, larger path. This is the most easy path to go up for the average person. It's going to be like the main path, and it'll take some time because it's a little more smooth, but it'll get up to the point where I think now I know that I am going to have like a little cabin area. But this area right here at the end of the alley is going to be kind of the more secret footpath. And I'm going to have another little path up here. It's going to be a little more rugged. Not as many people travel on it. It's much steeper, but it'll get you up there way faster. More than that, I think it's going to be really cool going down this path and entering Calcite Cove this way. And you can also see I've started the process of dotting the landscape with trees. I'm doing it as I build up because the way that these trees grow is a little annoying. There has to be no blocks anywhere in a 2-block radius around it above the saplings, or it'll kind of block access to these things growing. So let's say I want to plant one right here. And let's say I put the podzol here, I put the saplings here. I would have to destroy all of this moss in these 2 sections of blocks right here. And then I'd have to place it back, which obviously isn't the end of the world. It doesn't take super long, but it's a tedious thing that I can try to avoid simply by planting the trees as I'm going. Like here's a good spot for a tree, right? And there we go. Let me see if this last bone meal will work for it. That'd have been cool. But yeah, sometimes just to reduce the annoyance, I will simply grow it slightly above that level and then manually bring the tree down with some of my spare logs. And believe me, I have a lot of these, so it doesn't really eat into much anyways. Boom, it's like I grew it there from the get-go. So yeah, all my free time today has been spent working on this, and I would say I did a really solid stretch, but overall it probably is only like a tiny fraction. Yeah, I would say maybe I'm 10% done. Okay, it's definitely a bigger chunk than I may have realized, and not to be lazy, but as soon as I get the part done that you can actually see from Barrel Bay and Calcite Cove, I might save the back of it for later. Yeah, no, that sounds bad. That sounds bad. I'm going to do the entire mountain, but like, come on. This looks so cool. And the fact that I did this in one day so far, I think this is going to be not as long of a project as I realized. Seriously though, just the trees kind of cascading upwards right behind these buildings alone is making me super happy. Like, look at the view that the burger place has now. It's kind of the mountainside burger place now, and that's awesome. Oh, ignore the cat heads in the road. I may have done some, purging of the land. But yeah, it already looks so cool, and I haven't even done any of the detail work. Obviously, I want to hold off on that until I get the whole thing mossed out and shaped, all ready to go. Oh man, I'm so excited. Alright, back to the grind. Wood, yo, look at that. That is so cool looking from the underside. I almost wish I was kind of making this as the structure now. When this is all covered up, this is a shame because... Okay, now I'm really motivated to make that side of the mountain have this kind of arch to it because I really want to have that visible from somewhere. You can kind of tell from the underside how I'm making this thing. So you can see the steep trail up the mountain indented here, and then the smoother, bigger trail is going here, and it wraps around here. And let me take you up there. I'm going to try to make a big flat-ish area here. Obviously not super flat. But I want to have enough space up here so that I could build a few structures. I don't know how big they're going to be. They may end up being kind of tiny little cabins. So this is the idea, right? This is the trail that you can start on from the alley. You go between this little archway. There's a little bit of a flatter section here where you can kind of look down on the bigger trail. And then you go up here and it'll connect you up to this area up here where the big foundational area is where I'm going to build some stuff. And then here's that big trail. It wraps around here and it goes down this way, turns here and there a little bit. It's pretty damn cool. And it looks so nice down here from the road. That's amazing. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I also put a little bit of an arch. What's it called? A little overhang. That's the word I'm looking for. I'm gonna ignore those guys and just fly back up. This is a project so big that rockets are basically necessary. Oh my gosh. I forgot about this. I found a goat head on my tree. Mike killed it, so I'm assuming he put it there. So, yeah, no, I put him right here where the goats belong, on top of the mountain. Here's the top part of that little overhang. If this area near the middle here is where I'm gonna build the flatter section with all the cabins and whatnot, then when I'm up here, this could be a fun way to come down. You just jump and whee! You just literally fly down all the way down into Calcite Cove. Oh, and look at how awesome it looks. Look at how awesome it looks up there. Let me look at the whole thing from the sky. So, I'd say I've got like 30% done now. And I feel like the side that faces Barrel Bay, I want to be steep, just in general. I want it to be like a wall behind Barrel Bay. Still natural looking and everything, but you know, just like a steeper mountain face than this side, which was a little more gradual, a little more welcoming for coming up the mountain. So yeah, I guess that's my progress report. I'm just flying around, placing a bunch of blocks, shaping it every once in a while when I see fit. I legit think I'm gonna make an entire video later on why moss is the most overpowered block in the game, because this project has convinced me. I mean, I already loved moss, but this has made me realize, like, this is the terraformer's dream. No tool durability lost, no switching around in the hotbar. With a good farm, it's infinite, and you can get it very fast. It's already a very good looking block that I'm going to use in this project. So all the areas of this mountain that I'm going to have moss for, they're basically already in place. Those sections are already done. Big update, it's been several days, and I think this thing is like halfway done now. So yeah, it is not taking me anywhere near as long as I thought it would. The middle point that I planned out, I think I'm gonna have to push it back because I want this big flat area to be big enough to put some buildings on. And who knows, I may elevate the area on this side, but this is generally the middle of the mountain, and there's like everything built up on this side, except for like there's a hole over there. Everything is built up over here. It's pretty cool looking. This may not seem like much, but these cabins don't have to be massive, and I can definitely fit a lot of little things here. Also, I need a little bit better of a pathway to it, but there's also this flat area over here now. And this one has this lookout view over Barrel Eye Bay, and it's really cool up here. So there's definitely going to be some sort of building over here that may overhang over the cliff. A building looming over the cliff that you can look up at when you're down there in Barrel Eye Bay, that sounds like a cool idea. Yeah, you can see it's pretty steep on this face. And if there is some sort of building up there, that would look really cool. That'd be a good place for a diagonal building, so it kind of faces Barrel Eye Bay. But anyways, this has been a big grind. And it's been so long. I think I'm going to end this episode here. Thank you for watching. It's been interesting seeing how this episode came out. I thought there would be more emphasis on Calcite Cove and the TOPSTER, but I just got so carried away with the mountain. And I'm glad. I'm glad because this is a huge grind, and if I'm in the mood for it, then let's do it. Calcite Cove is beginning to have a really cool backdrop. But yeah, thank you for watching. Tune in next time where maybe I'll finish shaping this mountain. I say shaping because placing all that moss, that's only like half the job. Then I have to go in and I actually have to texture it. That'll probably take me even longer. So yeah, stay tuned for more Mossy Mountain.